In a city where every secret has a price and every whisper can destroy a name, one woman has decided she will no longer hide behind ink and paper. The ballroom lights shimmer, masks fall, and the ton prepares for another season of love, rivalry, and power. But this time, it is not a Bridgerton who will set the story in motion. It is Penelope Featherington, and London will never be the same again. But the morning mist settles over London, soft and golden, as carriages move through the cobblestone streets. This season begins once more with ribbons, roses, and rumors filling the air. But behind one lace-covered window, a quiet revolution brews. Penelope sits at her writing desk, her quill motionless above a blank page. For the first time, the words do not come easily. Lady Whistledown has written many truths, but none that could describe this new feeling, the urge to live her own story, not just tell others. She closes the journal gently, her reflection in the mirror sharper than she remembers. Gone is the shy girl who hid behind gossip. The woman who stares back is ready to be seen. The streets outside hum with life, carriages rolling past, the sound of polished boots striking stone. Penelope steps out into the world, her yellow dress catching the sunlight as if declaring she has nothing left to fear. Whispers follow her, familiar tones of judgment and curiosity, but she walks forward with steady grace. Every eye in London turns as she passes. It is not the color of her dress that draws attention anymore. It is the quiet confidence of a woman who knows the power of her own name. Inside the Bridgerton home, voices echo with excitement. The new season means new chances, new hearts to win, and reputations to risk. But Colin Bridgerton stands by the window, looking out at the street below. He does not yet see her, not truly. To him, she is still the girl who wrote too much and dreamed too little. But that illusion will not last long. Penelope has written his name too many times to forget him. But she has also learned that stories only change when the writer dares to dot as the music of the first ball begins. The chandeliers sparkle above a sea of silk and secrets. Penelope enters, and the room stills for just a moment. No one expected her to shine, not like this. She smiles, not to charm, not to impress, but because she finally understands what it means to stand in her own light. Around her, the gossip swirls, but it no longer stings. It fuels her. She is not just another face in the crowd. She is the one who knows every truth they fear to speak. This season will not be about who dances the longest or smiles the sweetest. It will be about control, who holds it, who loses it, and who takes it back. And Penelope Featherington has already begun her move. The sound of wheels on stone breaks the calm of the afternoon as a carriage rolls into Grosvenor Square. A familiar crest glints in the sunlight, one the ton has not seen for months. The Bridgerton name always carries weight, but today it carries something more: curiosity. Colin Bridgerton has returned from his travels, his letters from abroad filled with stories of distant lands and noble adventures. But behind his charming smile lies a heart uneasy, one that has left something unfinished in London. The moment his boots touch the ground, the air seems to shift. His brothers welcome him with laughter, his sisters with warmth. But one question lingers in every whispered circle. Will Colin finally find what he's been running from? As the days pass, the city buzzes with talk of his return. Invitations flood in, teas and dances arranged in his honor, each hostess hoping her daughter will catch his eye. Yet, Colin's gaze drifts elsewhere, toward the edges of the ballroom where a quiet figure watches with calm poise. For years, Penelope Featherington had been the girl he barely noticed, a shadow in golden fabric. But now something about her feels unfamiliar, a calm power in her silence, a spark in her eyes that refuses to fade. When their paths finally cross, time slows. He speaks her name as if testing its weight. She smiles, a small, knowing smile that unsettles him more than any storm he faced abroad. That night, Colin finds himself walking alone through the streets of Mayfair. The laughter of the ballroom still rings faintly in his ears, but his thoughts are somewhere else. Penelope's voice, her presence, her calm confidence, all of it stirs something he cannot name. He remembers the girl who once blushed at every word he said, who hid behind half-finished sentences. But this Penelope does not blush. She looks him in the eye and speaks as if she already knows the ending of his story. For the first time, Colin wonders if he has been the one on the outside of her world, not the other way around. Meanwhile, Penelope returns home, her steps steady but her heart uncertain. Seeing Colin again feels like reading a book she once knew by heart, only to discover new pages written while she wasn't looking. She had promised herself she was done waiting for him, done being invisible. But change, no matter how strong, never silences memories so easily. As she sits by her window, the city below glowing with lantern light, she whispers to herself, this time, she will not chase him. If Colin Bridgerton wants to know her story, he will have to earn the right to read it the next morning. A new issue of Lady Whistledown's paper arrives across London, and though no one knows her hand behind it, one line catches every eye. Some men travel the world searching for adventure, only to find the greatest challenge standing right where they left it. And somewhere across the city, Colin reads those very words. His smile fading into thought. Morning in London arrives not with birdsong, but with the rustle of paper. Every door in Mayfair opens to the same sight, a crisp sheet, folded and sealed, carrying a name that makes hearts race and tempers flare. Lady Whistledown. The city holds its breath as servants deliver the gossip that can crown or crush anyone it touches. No one knows who she is, yet everyone fears her pen. The Queen calls it entertainment. The nobles call it treachery. But this time, the words cut deeper, sharper, and no one suspects that the woman writing them now walks among them in plain sight, dressed in gold. Calm and composed, Penelope Featherington. The whispers begin at breakfast tables and spread like wildfire through the day. The town has grown restless, and every mention of a hidden affair or a broken promise tightens the noose around London's elite. At the center of it all stands Penelope, her secret life pressing closer to exposure with every edition. She has written too well, too boldly. Each sentence she pens carries both power and danger. For years, her words have shaped society's games, but now, the game has begun to turn on her. The same voices that once ignored her now speak her name in every parlor, wondering if perhaps the quiet Featherington girl knows more than she should dot at a royal luncheon. Queen Charlotte's sharp eyes scan the crowd. Her tone is amused, but her intent is clear. She wants Whistledown unmasked. Whoever writes such clever words must be brave or foolish, she says with a smile that chills the air. Across the table, Penelope lowers her gaze, her teacup steady though her pulse races. Around her, the Bridgertons exchange knowing glances, each remembering how their names once graced those very pages. Colin watches Penelope closely, sensing something unspoken in her calmness. He cannot explain it, but her silence feels heavier than it used to. As the night falls, the city shimmers under candlelight and deceit. A masked ball fills the air with laughter, perfume, and lies dressed as compliments. Behind every mask hides a secret, and behind every secret hides Lady Whistledown's pen. Penelope moves through the crowd, listening, observing, collecting every glance, every slip of the tongue that might become tomorrow's headline. Yet for the first time, she hesitates. Her own name now dances on the edge of exposure. And the truth she built her power on threatens to undo everything she's become. In the corner of the ballroom, a group whispers, she's too clever, that Featherington girl. Too quiet, too watchful. The words reach her ears. But instead of fear, she feels something else, control. They suspect, but they do not know. Not yet. And as she looks across the room and meets Colin's gaze, something shifts. For a moment, she wonders if he will be the one to uncover her secret or the one to protect it. Either way, the game of London's most dangerous gossip has reached a point of no return that night. As the carriages roll away and the lights of the ball fade, a single copy of Lady Whistledown's society papers appears on a doorstep. Its headline gleams beneath the moonlight. Even the purest hearts hide the sharpest truths. And somewhere inside her quiet room, Penelope dips her quill once more, knowing the next word she writes could change everything, not just for the ton, but for her. The night no longer belongs to whispers. It belongs to her. Penelope Featherington stands at her desk, a single candle burning beside an unfinished page. The ink glows under the soft flame as she writes the story not as a watcher, but as the woman who finally commands it. The pen that once felt like her only weapon now feels like her crown. Every word she writes holds weight, reshaping the world that once overlooked her. London may not know her face, but it knows her voice, clear, sharp, and unafraid. And now, that voice will not be silenced. Outside, the ton buzzes with unease. Names rise and fall overnight. Powerful families tremble at the thought of being next in Lady Whistledown's pages. The men who once dismissed her words now send quiet messengers begging for her favor, while women, long ignored, read her lines like promises of revenge. But power changes everything, even love. Colin Bridgerton, once the carefree traveler, begins to see what others cannot. The way she speaks with quiet authority, the way she observes with purpose, the confidence that follows her like perfume, it all unsettles him. He starts to wonder if the woman he thought he knew has been someone entirely different all along. Their paths cross again in the garden one evening, lanterns glowing like stars between them. He asks her, softly, if she ever feels trapped by her own words. She meets his gaze, steady and unshaken, and replies, "Only when I let them belong to someone else." He doesn't understand it fully, but he feels the truth in her tone. This is not the Penelope he left behind. This is a woman who no longer asks to be seen. She chooses to be back in her room. The night deepens. Penelope looks down at the stack of papers that hold London's heartbeat. Every story she's ever told has been a reflection of someone else's secret. But tonight, she writes about herself not as a rumor, not as a whisper, but as a name that cannot be ignored. Her words flow without hesitation, each line reclaiming what was once taken from her: respect, identity, and freedom. The ink dries slowly, sealing her transformation. The shy wallflower of the past has become the storyteller of power. As dawn breaks, a fresh edition of Lady Whistledown Society papers lands on doorsteps across London. The headline is simple, but it stops readers in their tracks. The season's most powerful woman is no longer hiding. No one knows who she is, but they all feel her presence. The city that once judged her now bends around her influence. And somewhere, in the quiet of her home, Penelope smiles, not out of pride, but peace. For the first time, she is not writing to be heard. She is writing because the story, finally, is hers. The season reaches its breaking point as London wakes to a storm of scandal. Carriages line the streets, doors slam, and every house in the ton hums with disbelief. The whispers that once entertained now burn like fire. Every name, every lie, every hidden truth has been pulled into the light, and all of it traces back to one woman, the invisible author who turned gossip into power. But today, Lady Whistledown's story is no longer just rumor. It is destiny. Inside the grand ballroom, the air is thick with tension. The chandeliers glitter above trembling hands and guarded smiles. Queen Charlotte's gaze sweeps the crowd, her patience wearing thin. Whoever writes with such boldness, she declares, must be ready to stand behind her words. A hush follows, and somewhere in that silence, Penelope Featherington steps forward. Her eyes meet Colin's across the room, and for a heartbeat, the world fades. He understands what she's about to do, and the risk it carries. Every secret she's ever kept could end her, but silence has already cost her too much. The crowd parts as she walks to the center, her gown a quiet defiance of every rule that ever tried to hold her. Her voice doesn't tremble when she speaks. You wanted to know who writes your stories? Very well. I do. Gasps ripple through the hall, fans drop, and the queen's expression hardens, but Penelope stands unflinching. Years of hiding dissolve in that moment. The girl who once wrote behind closed doors now owns every word she's ever written. The same pen that built her disguise now becomes her freedom. Outside, thunder breaks as rain begins to fall over the city. Colin follows her into the storm, his heart caught between shock and awe. You've changed everything, he says quietly. She turns to him, rain clinging to her lash, and replies, No, Colin, I just stopped pretending I couldn't. The air between them carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken moments. A step closer, a breath shared, a love that has survived silence, pride, and time. But before anything more can be said, a distant voice calls her name, and she steps away, leaving him standing in the rain, watching the woman he finally sees clearly for the first time. As dawn rises over London, the final edition of Lady Whistledown Society Papers arrives at every doorstep. Its headline is simple yet final. Every ending is just another beginning, and this, dear readers, is mine. The camera pulls back from the city, rooftops shining under morning light, secrets now scattered like fallen petals. A new season of The Ton begins, but its rules will never be the same again. Asterisk, the city exhales after the storm. The rain has washed away the night's chaos, leaving London glimmering under a pale, forgiving sun. The Ton awakens to a quiet unlike any before, not of peace, but of change. The paper that once ruled their mornings lies folded on tables. Its ink faded, but its message unforgettable. Lady Whistledown has vanished as suddenly as she appeared, and for the first time, London must live without her voice. But though the name may have disappeared, the woman behind it has not. Penelope Featherington walks through the streets with her head held high, no longer a secret, no longer a shadow. At the Bridgerton estate, life resumes with the rhythm of the season. Music drifts from open windows, laughter echoes through the halls, yet something deeper lingers in the air. Colin stands on the balcony, watching the carriages below, his thoughts far away. He remembers her words, "I just stopped pretending I couldn't." They play over and over, louder than the city itself. For years, he searched for adventure, meaning truth. But now, he realizes the most extraordinary journey was never beyond London's borders. It was standing beside him all along, wearing gold and courage in equal measure. Elsewhere, Penelope writes again, not for readers, not for power, but for herself. Her ink flows without secrecy or fear. She writes of the world she has seen, the lessons she has learned, and the love she almost lost. Her new words are softer, yet stronger. They carry no mask, no disguise. The sound of her pen against paper is no longer a weapon. It is freedom. She has lived behind her stories for too long. Now, she lives beyond them. Days turn into weeks, and the city begins to move on. New scandals rise, new faces steal attention, and society pretends to forget what shook it. But somewhere deep within the hearts of its people, a quiet respect grows for the writer who dared to tell the truth and for the woman who refused to stay silent. Colin finds her again one evening in the gardens of Bridgerton House, the air filled with the scent of spring. He doesn't speak at first. He simply watches her, the candlelight painting her face in soft gold. Finally, he says, "You don't need to hide anymore." She smiles gently, her eyes meeting his. "I never did," she replies. "I just needed to remember that." The camera drifts upward, capturing the two of them framed by the glow of lanterns, the world around them peaceful for the first time. A breeze passes through the garden, carrying the faint echo of turning pages, the sound of stories still unwritten. Asterisk, London stands still for a heartbeat, as if holding on to the last echo of her words. The season that began with whispers ends with transformation. No longer is the city ruled by hidden pens and unseen eyes. It is shaped by a woman who dared to rewrite her fate. Lady Whistledown may have signed her final paper, but her legacy lingers in every corner of the Ton, a reminder that truth, once spoken, cannot be silenced. The Queen's court, once filled with laughter at scandal, now carries a quiet respect. Even Her Majesty, though she never admits it aloud, reads that final line again and again. Every ending is just another beginning across drawing rooms and gardens. Those words spread, a lesson dressed as gossip, a whisper turned to wisdom. The Ton, forever addicted to spectacle, now waits for a new kind of story, one written not in fear, but in courage. At the Featherington estate, the morning light spills across Penelope's desk. The paper before her is blank, not because she has run out of things to say, but because, for once, she does not need to say them. Her quill rests beside her hand, the ink drying quietly. She has spent years giving the world stories. Now she has finally claimed her own. In the mirror, she sees not the wallflower nor the writer, but a woman whole and unafraid. Outside, children play in the street, their laughter echoing through the open window. The city has moved on, yet somehow everything feels new. A carriage passes by, and within it sits Colin Bridgerton, his expression thoughtful but sure. He glances toward the Featherington home and smiles faintly, a look not of pity or longing, but pride. He knows the woman who changed London doesn't need saving. She never did. But perhaps, in time, she allows someone to walk beside her in the story she's still writing. As dusk falls, the camera pulls back one final time. The lamplight glows across the city, the Thames glimmering like liquid gold. The hum of London continues, softer, wiser, changed. The music swells gently, wrapping the city in a sense of calm triumph.